In 2021, Governor DeSantis announced $106 million to establish something called the Civic Literary Excellence Initiative. This summer, the Florida Department of Education held a series of trainings for public school teachers. Each session was held over the span of 3 days. And teachers, they were paid $700 to attend them, which for Florida public school teachers, who are the third lowest paid teachers in the country, $700 is a pretty tempting sum, especially for teachers who are new to teaching. One of those early career teachers, a Broward County government teacher with 1 year in the classroom under her belt, she went to a training in June. 3 days later, disturbed by what she had witnessed in that room, she blew the whistle on these teacher training sessions. And other teachers started talking too. They noticed that one big theme running through the 3 days of courses was an emphasis on Christianity. One teacher said, quote, "There was a very strong Christian fundamentalist way towards analyzing different quotes and different documents. That was concerning." Another teacher said there was this Christian nationalism philosophy that was just baked into everything that was there. We got a hold of some of the slides they used in those trainings. They tell some of the story of what happened, but not all of it. So we took a trip down to Florida to find out what exactly has been happening to public education under the stewardship of Governor Ron DeSantis. I sat down with Tatiana Album, the teacher who blew the whistle on those civics trainings, and she walked me through what the state of Florida wanted her to teach students about one of the most fundamental principles of our government, the thing that many people believe makes America America, the separation of church and state. Session purpose: articulate the founders' view of separation of church and state and their view of religious liberty. Church and state, the wall between the two coming down.
Right.
What are we learning here, Tatiana?
So this slide was coupled with a discussion about how the separation of church and state may not be a wall. It's more like a fence, like a graded fence. They even mentioned. So it was weird. This was definitely when, the flags were going off in my mind, where they were immediately kind of saying, no, there wasn't really this separation of church and state, which when you look at history and you kind of know, maybe that's, somewhat true, but it's definitely more complex and nuanced than the way they were presenting it. So lots of red flags are going off.
Yeah. I mean, also it sounds like they're advocating for a more porous separation between church and state. They're not only saying it was much more fluid,
right,
the relationship between church and state in the era of the Founding Fathers, but that's the way American society should be structured today.
Yeah.
Misconception. The founders desired strict separation of church and state, and the founders only wanted to protect freedom of worship.
Yeah, so this kind of misconception thing followed us throughout the entirety of all of the sessions. They would kind of hone in on, these are things you might know to be true, but they're a misconception. And so this was a big one for this workshop, where they legitimately said to us, the founders didn't want this strict separation. They wanted religion to influence people's values.
And specifically Christian religion.
Yes.
Because there's a long wind-up about how it's about Christian tenets, and that's what the founders intended. And so when they talk about this church, they're really talking about the Christian church.
Right.
And this is the end thesis of this whole presentation, or this is the end conclusion that they want you to come away with.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't really feel like this doesn't feel like a training slide. This feels like, to borrow a phrase from the governor, indoctrination.
It can. It's definitely of concern. It doesn't feel like any sort of other training I've been to.
And are other teachers, I would assume there are other teachers who are maybe not Christians in the audience at the,
Yes.
And what are they saying?
They were really concerned. A lot of the teachers I knew that were there, especially those that didn't grow up in a Christian household, they were very concerned and very worried about what was happening, especially those with a lot of tenure in the field.
And nobody could raise their hands and question this?
No. If you asked a question, they used my favorite teacher strategy, which is essentially to say, that's wonderful, great, great topic of discussion. We're going to come back to that. And then never come back to it, kind of hoping that they'll forget that they raised those questions.
Then there is what the trainings had to say about how the courts should interpret the Constitution. In the real world, there is an ongoing debate between two fundamentally oppositional methods of interpretation. On the one side, there is originalism, the belief that courts should interpret the Constitution based on what the founding fathers believed when they wrote it way back in the 18th century. On the other side, the idea that the Constitution is a document whose interpretation evolves throughout the years as American society itself changes. But according to Tatiana, our teacher who sat through these trainings, the state of Florida appears to want teachers to think there is really only one correct view. I'll let you guess which one. Oh, yeah, this is interesting. So, tell me what you see in this slide.
Yeah, so something they did here was they kind of brought up how the Supreme Court is the reason that we have the separation of church and state, not necessarily the Constitution. And so they talked about how, through these cases and others, the Supreme Court has interpreted the Constitution to mean this strong separation of church and state. However, through originalism, that might not be what the Constitution was saying. And there was a strong focus on originalism in terms of kind of understanding the Constitution.
And originalism is seen as the right way to interpret the Constitution?
By way of what we were taught at this training, yes.
Right. So this suggests that the Supreme Court is going against the founders' original vision in Engel Vitale, which is the ending of school prayer. Mm-hmm. That's seen as maybe a bad development, moving away from the founding principles of America.
Mm-hmm. There's a slide somewhere in here where he goes to talk about originalism,
yes,
interpreting.
Yes, it's this one. Interpreting the Constitution. And who's that?
Scalia, Justice Scalia, who is probably the most notorious in the modern Supreme Court for being an originalist.
Yeah.
And kind of the more conservative court. Here they only mention originalism. There's no mention of any other justices in this slide. Just him and just originalism, which I think is a disservice, you know? I think that if we're going to talk about it, we have to bring up all the different sides. We have to make sure we're including all the ways that people on our Supreme Court currently are interpreting this document.
Constitution, yeah. So the only way you're taught
is originalism.
Originalism, picture of Antonin Scalia.
Right.
As if, like, it's this guy, this is how we interpret the Constitution. Mm-hmm. This is as explicit as it gets.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Especially in this moment in America when we're looking at the legacy of Scalia and what originalism is doing to American society.